what are some of your favorite dive sites?
Cobb Seamount is my top favorite, which very few people get to dive. I feel fortunate that I spent pretty close to 60 hours on the top of that mountain, so it's like having spent a couple of days diving, total days of underwater, but with an hour at a time, basically. But Cobb Seamount's paramount. I like Bon Air. Bon Air was great. I liked, I dove in Samoa. Samoa was a very cool place to dive, except they have some really big sharks there that you don't want to be around. Kind of the home of the great white in tropical water, but just a lot of places that I've dove. And of course, probably my favorite in the Pacific Northwest would be all the diving trips we took with the Northwest Underwater Explorers Society that we formed. And we'd go up into Canada and go up into the Gulf Islands and dive the Gulf Islands. And they were spectacular. Yeah, wonderful. We went up as far as Bedwell Harbor and some of them real close to the Queen Charlotte Straits, and dove a lot. We did a lot of exploratory diving up there. The De Courcy Cliffs off the island between Ruxton and De Courcy, there's a gigantic terraces of oyster sand waterfalls, and then at 110, 15 feet, I remember there's a big cave down there that's a little foreboding, and divers shouldn't go in there because it narrows down and then it opens up again. If you ever got in there, you better be a cave diver with some good experience. You bet.
Training,
Yeah.
Well, I know you like the San Juan Islands.
Oh, I do.
And I remember one time I was diving up in the San Juan Islands. I knew you were there. I didn't tell everybody that I knew you were there. And it was, at that time, it was called Bartell's Resort.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a bar, and they had a restaurant there, but then up above, upstairs was the bar. And at the end of the day, they had a compressor there, so we took our bottles over there to get them filled, and while the bottles were getting filled, you go upstairs to the bar.
Yep.
Well, as I'm going up the stairs, and I knew you were there, I hear this harmonica. And so we're going up the stairs, and I just kept my back to the group back there with a harmonica. And I walked up to the bartender and I said, is there any way you can shut off that noise back there? And of course, all of your students are there ready to defend you. So we gave each other a big hug, sat down, and you played the harmonica.
I know, that was
San Juan Island. Now, I'm going to speculate a little bit as to who your favorite dive buddy is. And I'm going to speculate that it probably is a guy named Ronnie Campbell down in Cayman. Now, tell us about Ronnie.
Ronnie's my oldest son, and he kind of followed in Dad's footsteps as far as diving is concerned. Became, of course, we were loyal to NWDHA. We were NWDHA divers, but I had a PADI certification, and I had an NASDS certification. I had all those diving certifications, but I was really specifically devoted to NWDHA. And I was course director for a lot of things, but Ronnie actually got his PADI certification before he got his NWDHA certification. And then he became NWDHA certified.
You know who certified him as an NWDHA instructor? I did.
I know.
In San Juan Islands. He came up there and spent a week with us.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, but he had his PADI certification prior to that, but I think it was because of the age difference, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was. Anyway, Ronnie went over to, there was a gentleman in your class by the name of Mike McElvenny.
That's right.
And Mike McElvenny went to Hawaii, and he ran the Kona Diving Village diving operation. And when we went over for a dive, Ronnie got to meet him, and we went diving with Mike a lot. So when Ronnie got his certification and graduated from high school, I called Michael McElvenny and said, you know, is there any chance Ron can come over and spend a couple of weeks with you, and you can kind of show him the ropes and teach him about tropical diving. And Mike said, yeah, by all means. Well, Ronnie was over there a week. Mike hired him and kept him there for about 3 months. So then he came back, and it was at that time that I was being asked to go down to Peter Hughes's operation in Bon Air, which did not work out, didn't work out. But on my way back, I stopped in the Cayman Islands and met Peter Ribbon, and I got a job offer for Spanish Cove. Right. And I wound up down there for a year and brought Ronnie in to work for me. And then when I left, Ronnie stayed 14 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ronnie's my favorite diving companion. He and I do a lot of free diving together.
Yeah. Well, do you have time to tell that story about Ronnie giving you a computerized console to dive with down in Cayman? Remember that story? Or do you need to rehearse that?
Yeah, I need to rehearse it.
Okay, because that's a sea story.
That's a sea story.
So I'll let you rehearse that one.
That's cool.
What are some of the milestones? And I know of a list of about 100, but what are some of the real genuine milestones in your diving career that you like to share?
Well, number one would be just becoming a diver and being competent and able to be able to investigate the underwater world, and having taught myself, which was an accomplishment, with the help of E.R. Cross's book. That was a highlight. Then formal highlights would be the graduation from the Navy School, the graduation from Coastal School of Deep Sea Diving as a commercial deep sea diver, the river swim, where I swam from Orofino, Idaho to the Pacific Ocean, and beat Lewis and Clark, and then later wrote a book.
Now I'm gonna do a little commercial right now for the sake of the video that'll be posted. And Spence has a book that everybody should invest in. It is well written. It's not just about the swim, but it's about what was Spence thinking about as he was swimming. And it's a fantastic read. And the name of that again is
Lewis and Clark and Me.
Lewis and Clark and Me.
Right.
And is that available on Amazon.com?
Yeah, it was. Not to be confused with another book by the same name that's about a dog.
Right. Okay.
There's 2 books by
Two
that
books,
name,
yeah.
But mine says Spence Campbell on it.
Yeah. But that was, I know that was in 1962.
1962, right.
Swam, and the bet started off in a bar.
Yeah, it was, could I beat Lewis and Clark's time?
Yeah.
They did it in 32 days, and I did it in 27 days swimming.
Yeah.
And it's 557 miles.
Well, now, the way I heard it, my version of that story is that you're sitting in the bar, and somebody was bragging about how fast Lewis and Clark paddled to Astoria, and you said, I can swim up faster than that.
I don't quite remember that.
That's my story.
Could be I said that, depending on how many beers I had. No, I just dreamed that up because I needed to get some money to go to medical school, which I wanted to. Didn't wind up. Of course, the next big highlight was I came up and went through a 2-year RN program at Everett Community College, which I didn't finish. And then because the reason I didn't finish it is I was hired to be a neurosurgical assistant, and later I started doing private research in my garage, and then became well known by the university. And as a result of that, Dr. Merrill Spencer, who is now deceased, was the director of the Virginia Mason Research Center, saw the research work, came and hired me, and I wound up director of the Diving Physiology Research Lab.
Yeah.
And of course, Dr. Spencer being a consummate researcher, and me with some strange ideas, we hit upon he was doing Doppler research work with whales and marine mammals, and his Doppler work I saw as a way to expose the silent bubbles that man was being victimized in the bends, and together we started the first research and instrumented a sheep which showed the blood bubbles, which we call vascular gas emboli, and led the way to the development of the Paddy Doppler tables. So that's a real milestone in submarine medicine.
Yeah, I think that that's very important for people to understand, is that the Virginia Mason Research, Hyperbaric Research and Treatment Facility, the origin of that was in your garage with your own chamber and your own research, because you just had a passion for diving physiology.
I did.
And then took it from there.
Yes,
so that was great. Well, you had another milestone in your career that I'm pretty familiar with, and you can, I'm going to tell you my version of the story, and then you can correct me. You know how that goes. But the in reactor at Hanford had a problem. They had a shiv assembly that was a big pulley assembly that had a cable would run through the assembly, and that cable would pull essentially an ore cart back and forth, and it would accept spent fuel rods, radioactive fuel rods, and then run them over and dump them for storage, which now they're hunting for and cleaning up out in the desert someplace. And my part of the story is that they figured it was going to take about, if they shut the reactor down, had it down for about a year, they could drain the pool, get in there, and guys could work a few hours or maybe a few minutes a week before they got too much radioactivity, and they could fix that. And it would take them about a year to get that done.
That's correct.
And your analysis was, we can do it in 2 weeks, underwater, safer, with no skin exposure. Now you take it from there. What happened?
Well, we put out a bid. They put out a bid, and we bid the job with the Ocean Corporation in Houston. We had a nuclear dive team, which we trained and mentored, and I was the vice president and operations manager. So we got the job, and we went to the Hanford reactor. We all had to undergo training and psychological evaluations to be able to get badged in. Of course, we'd worked in other power plants prior to that, and we went in and we actually did the operation very nicely within a week and a half. We had everything done, all the shiv assemblies put in and everything. Unfortunately, on that job, and kind of interestingly, when they decided they'd put the big shiv assembly, which is 2,800 pounds, on this wall, which we had to build a template for, they needed to put it in a specific place, and they wanted us to mark the place that it went, and by the specs on the sheet. And I told them that wasn't our particular function. We were the diving operation to go down and install that, but not to line it up and what have you. So they had to use their engineers to do that. Well, as they were doing it, and I was looking at the specs, I got the distinct impression they were lining it up on the wrong side. And so they put it right down a bit. It was their measurement, and so they told us where they wanted the first hole to be drilled, and that's where we drilled it, and we put the whole assembly in, and we were celebrating. The job was over and having a big party, and I got a phone call from the superintendent of the job at the Hanford reactor, and he called me and said, "Spence, that's on the wrong side. You have to come in and redo it." I knew it.
Yeah.
But we weren't responsible for it because I wouldn't measure it.
Yeah.
I told them, no, you guys have to measure it. So it was their people
Yeah,
that
you're experts do
put
it.
it in. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's right. But I thought, I told Bill, I even told Bill, are you sure that's the side that's supposed to go on?
Yeah.
Because when I looked at the drawings, it didn't look to me like it was on that side. Oh yeah, that's the right side.
Yeah.
Then I got that call, Spence, you're going to have to come in and redo it.
Yeah.
So he came in and redid it, and we redid it in about 3 days.
Yeah.